Hello, and welcome back to The Salted Journey. I am your host, Glaelle Mathurin, and I'm happy that you're here. Oh man, another week. This is officially week 6. I can't believe it. But I am glad I'm consistent. Today, literally, like any other day, any other week that I come in here, I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to talk about. But today, especially, I truly don't know what I'm going to be talking about. Um, yeah, summer so like I was convinced that I was just going to come on here and tell you guys I have nothing to talk about and have a good week and just, yeah, and the podcast. Oh man. But yeah, I literally picked up the Bible right before hitting record, and I just ended Genesis. As I mentioned, I think in my previous episodes, that I started reading Genesis over. And today, literally 5 minutes ago, I just finished it. And one thing stood out. And I was like, okay, guys, is this what you want me to talk about? And I was in the shower earlier today, and I was just talking and just thinking. I'm the type of person, and this is kind of off topic, but I like quiet in the morning. Like, I'm not the type of person to wake up with music, and I need music to get ready. I need music to I need quiet. I need quiet. I need silence. I need my thoughts. I need silence. I like quiet mornings, and even in the shower, like, I need quiet. I need to be able to just think. And I was just thinking today in the shower, and I was like, oh wow, things that I've done, that I've messed up because of my past hurts. And I was just thinking about friendships that I could have built, or I could have fostered better, but because of my, and this is recently, but because of my past hurts, I kind of jumped to conclusion, jumped the gun, and kind of left a bad taste. It's not funny. It's not funny at all, but I gotta laugh. Gotta laugh it out to keep me from crying. So I was thinking about that, and when I read that scripture that I'm gonna read to you guys, it brought that thought up. I'm like, wow, how damaging holding on to past hurts is, and the ripple effect that it can have, and how it shows up just in the way that you maneuver, you converse, you just do anything. So I guess this is what I'm going to talk about. And I prayed before this that the Holy Spirit guides me, so wherever this conversation goes is where it goes. But today is Friday. Oh, my voice sounds weird. Today is Friday. I had a pretty busy week. The week flew by. I'm home alone. I have to do my laundry. I hate doing my laundry. I don't hate doing my laundry. I just hate doing my laundry in New York City and having to go to a laundromat. Like, when I lived in Philly and I had to do laundry, and the washer and dryer was in our apartment, it was like the best. Like, laundry is so therapeutic if the washer and dryer is in your house. Because there's nothing therapeutic about hauling a big bag in a car, out the car, and be around a whole bunch of people with their germs. And yeah, I have a lot of icks about the laundromat. But yeah, so that's what I'm doing today, and I'm also have to clean my room. And I had an interview today, so I think it was last week. or the week before. I don't remember. I was telling you guys that. I think I was telling you guys this, but last week I think I don't remember, but it was either last week or a week before I had scheduled interviews, um, because I am in need of a grant writer to volunteer for the nonprofit, and it's been kind of difficult to find someone to help me in that area. As I mentioned, like grants application is just not my forte. It is just the bane of my existence. So I really need help. And I had scheduled 2 interviews last week. I think it was last week. Yes, it was last week. With 2 individuals, and they one canceled on me an hour before, and then the other just didn't answer their phone. But today, I think it was 2 days ago, this week, no, yesterday. Yeah. Listen, my memory, yeah. Yesterday, this girl applied to our volunteer position. It is unpaid because I'm unpaid. We need the grants. So that we are able to pay people eventually. I would love that more than anything, to have full-time staff or part-time staff that I'm paying, and they're able to have like a livable wage. That is like the goal. But right now we ain't got no money. But and she scheduled her interview for today at 1. It's currently 4 now. Yeah, and we had a talk. She was super sweet. And she's just ready to start. And she said that like writing is her passion. She loves writing, and she wants to like use this opportunity to gain some experience in grant writing. And I'm all for like helping someone in their journey, their career journey, giving them exposure or what have you. So it's like a win-win. And I'm excited. I have a whole bunch of applications that I have to fill out. A few of them are due like next week. So I'm literally like, is literally pleading to God for help. So, and then my friend Athena is also helping me on Monday. So I'm full. I'm happy about that. Like, oh man, I really need help with grant writing. So my goal is just to apply as much as possible and pray over them, and God just blesses us with it because we need the funds. And I do have some really good news too. Earlier this week, I think it was Monday. Yes. I woke up to email one that my first article has been published. So I think it was 2 months ago, a student from CUNY, the City University of New York, that whole umbrella, reached out to me, and she found out about my nonprofit and wanted to write a piece about my story and the nonprofit and the things we're doing, blah blah blah. So that was really fun, and it finally is published. It was finally published earlier this week. So I woke up to that news, and I was like, oh, glory to God, like my first article. Like, I'm going to print it out. I'm gonna be that person. I'm gonna print it out and I'm gonna frame it. Because it's just a testament to me just being obedient and me trusting God in the season, and not going back into the 9 to 5 workforce, and just trusting him that I am where I need to be. So being able to have my first article and somebody learning about my story and being interested is just amazing. And then also that same day, I got an email that PNC Bank is offering to sponsor a scholarship this year. As you know, we have a scholarship fund, and I did not know where that money was going to come from to offer a scholarship to someone at the end of this, like during the fall. But I created the application anyway, and the application is live for students to apply to get a scholarship. I didn't know where that money was going to come from. So, but God is faithful. And earlier this week, that same day, PNC Bank said, we're going to sponsor that and going to offer to pay one student scholarship. So that is like a huge weight lifted off my shoulder, that like, everything is working out for my good. And yeah, I don't have to worry about that. Like, I don't have to worry about the scholarship. So yeah, yay, wins. So that was really, really good. And I just been super busy. I have a whole bunch of things to do. And in this season, I feel like last week I was kind of low. This week I'm a little bit high. Yeah, I think it's just a journey of just life too, like high and lows, high and lows. But the thing that remains constant is you just have to keep moving, regardless. Can't give up. Yeah. And this week I had a heart-to-heart conversation with one of my friends. Shout out to Bianca. She's probably gonna listen to this like 3 weeks from now. We had to hash it out. And have honest conversations about something that she hurt me. And going back to holding on to hurts, I was holding on to her hurt, and I think for weeks, if not months, because I was so hurt by it. And at the end of the day, it was constantly bothering me. One, because you shouldn't hoard hurts. You shouldn't hoard like resentments. You should forgive. And forgiving is literally not for, I know people say that all the time, like forgiveness is not for the person, it's for you. But it really is, because that weight that gets lifted off your shoulder once you forgive, like that gets lifted off your heart, is real. Like you literally feel lighter, you literally feel freer. And that hurt was taunting me every day, not every day, but like multiple times during the week, because it wasn't settled, because I haven't resolved it, because I haven't forgiven. um yeah, I was constantly getting like, what's the word I'm looking for? Convicted. There you go. Convicted about it, because God didn't want me to stay there, and I truly don't want to stay there. I don't think anyone wants to stay in the space of holding a grudge, holding hurts, being mad, being upset, the constant state of being hurt. No one wants to hold that. Like, we all want to be free. So but the big thing was, I wasn't free once I decided to have a conversation with her. I was free once I decided in my heart that I no longer was hurt by it, that I no longer am upset, that I'm no longer holding on to it, and that I truly forgiven her. I was already free from that. And then I decided, okay, um, let me make amends. And because I truly valued her friendship, and I, want to continue to have her in my life, and me hers. And we're able to hash it out, have an honest conversation. She apologized, she was hurt by what she did, and we're able to move forward from that, which was great. But one thing I do want to point out, and that's something that just came to my mind, was like, um that I was set free before I had the conversation with her, and me having a conversation with her wasn't needed. And I say that um because it was needed for me, because I wanted to keep her in my life. So I wanted to, like, make amends, like whatever. But I'm saying, like, sometimes when it comes to certain people, and you're holding on to past hurts from someone, let's say, that's no longer in your life, that passed away, that is toxic, that shouldn't be in your life, you don't need to have that conversation with them in order to be free. Freedom comes from within, with you eternally, making amends with it, settling with it, resolving it on your own in your heart, and truly doing that. So I've been there when I say, like, yeah, I've forgiven them, but truly, every time somebody brings it up, it's still a sore, like, topic. It makes you emotional, it makes you upset. That's when you're not really, it hasn't really been resolved. You haven't really forgiven. But once you really let it go, and you've forgiven it in your heart, um that's really all that's needed at times. Now, if you want to continue to have that person in your life and rebuild that friendship, or you know correct a behavior, or set boundaries, or whatever, you still want to have that person in your life, then yes, a conversation is needed. But if not, then no, it's not needed. Um, yeah. And I just wanted to point that out because it's so important to when we think about it. And I'm saying it to you because I'm thinking about like my former friends. Sorry, my dog is just on the barking match today. Like she just keeps barking. Tequila. Yes, her name is Tequila. I apologize. Tequila, come here. Come here. Tequila, come here. Come have a seat. You wanna go outside? Oh no. I don't know. She's on one today. You want a treat? Come get one. she yeah. That you see, usually certain things help, but let me see. Let me look at the camera. Maybe like somebody is an intruder that I don't know about. She has the right to be barking. But sometimes she just be barking for absolutely no reason. Yeah, there's no one at the door. I apologize. Tequila, stop it. Stop. Come here. Come here. Come here. Stop. What is wrong with you? Calm down. I'm closing the door on you. Goodbye. Sayonara. Stop. Come. Come play. I'm so sorry, y'all. That was so extra. Have a seat. Go sit. Go sit. Enough. Shut your mouth. Enough. Oh, man, oh man. But what? And she just staring at me like I'm in the wrong. There is no one outside. You're not saving me from anyone. Anyway, what was I talking about? Yes. So this brought up thoughts of me and past hurts that happened in like my younger years. I don't know if I mentioned this, but yes, I was bullied a lot growing up. In just school and mostly high school, and friends that a friend that I thought was a friend was really not. And she done some really, really terrible things to me. So for example, me letting go of that hurt, and this is someone that's no longer in my life, that I never want back in my life, that like I just don't care for anymore, that has absolutely no re-entry to my life or proximity. Letting go of that hurt has to happen internally, and knowing that a conversation with that person is not needed. I don't know if I got really, really let go of it, because I'm bringing it up right now. There's a part of me that's still very angry. Angry because not necessarily about what they did, but angry with myself, that like angry with myself because for numerous reasons. One, because I'm like, oh, like no one stood up for younger me. Like younger me went through so much, and I didn't stand up for me. I didn't love me. I wasn't there for me. No one stood up for me. So I have this feeling of that, and also kind of a feeling of shame that like, oh, why would I ever allow that person to do that, even though it wasn't my fault. Warranted, like I did nothing to deserve it. And I think that's a case for most people, but I still feel a shame, like a level of shame of like, oh man, like, why will I ever let that person do that? Like, ugh, like, why did I allow that person to walk over me? And it's not only just this scenario, but it's just numerous scenarios where I just feel that way. And then it's just another thing of like angry as a whole of like, why do bad things happen to the good people, quote unquote good? Because no one is good but God. But you know, like the people that don't seek for it, like the people that just want the best for others, that just, you know, don't seek to, like, I don't, when I say seek, like people that initiate fights, initiate drama, that's what I say seek. But yeah, it's a level of anger where I'm just like, oh, like I'm tired of like the bullies getting away with things, the bullies not truly, in my opinion, like receiving the consequences of their action, and the one that's been bullied has to deal with now all these wounds that they have to carry through, and heal, even though they didn't cause them. And that's just another part where I'm just like, just angry about. That's really where my anger lies. It's like now, like all these broken people that have to go on and heal all the wounds that they didn't cause. Like, a lot of times, certain times, you know, our life is a reflection of other people's afflictions. And it just sucks. And it makes me angry and it makes me sad because it's like we're not deserving of that. And I just wish bad things would happen to quote unquote bad people. Yeah. But when I think about past hurts, and as I'm saying all of this, like the scripture that I just read just, you know, comes up. And I'm just gonna read it now because I think this is appropriate. So this is Genesis. I'll read from Genesis. I don't want to read the whole thing. I'll just read Genesis 50, but I read 50 to 14 through 21. So basically what happened was, this is the end of Genesis where where Jacob dies, and then Joseph and all his brothers went to like properly bury Jacob, like he promised, like Joseph promised Jacob that he's going to bury his father the way that his father wanted, like travel all the way to Canaan, I think it's called, pronounced, to go ahead and bury his dad properly. So he went and did that with all his brothers and properly buried his dad. And yeah, so at the end, like they all go back, they all travel back. His brother traveled back to Egypt. And then this is where it starts. So it says, Joseph reassures his brothers. After burying Jacob, Joseph returned to Egypt with his brothers and all who had accompanied whoa accompanied, why can't I pronounce this, accompanied him. Yo, I promise you, yeah, I swear I know the English language until I don't. Him to his father's burial. But now that their father was dead, Joseph's brothers became fearful. Now Joseph will show his anger and pay us back for all the wrong we did to him, they said. Okay, so they buried his Jacob and all his brothers. I mean, Joseph and all his brothers went to bury Jacob, and then they're traveling back to Egypt, and his brothers became worried and said, oh wow, now that the father is dead, Joseph will show his anger and pay us back for all the wrong that we did to him. And if you remember, all his brothers, except for I think the little one, Benjamin, were very jealous of Joseph because of his gifts. And he talked about his dreams. And they wanted to kill his brother and ended up selling him to slavery. And then through that journey, Joseph became a slave. Then the whole journey of that, of him being away from his father and his family for like years. But at the end, Joseph ends up being a king and saving the whole Egypt and surrounding areas from a famine, right? God was with Joseph throughout all these years. But the story is still sad. So they became fearful, like, oh wow, like dad is dead now. Our brother is going to like pay us back for all we did because dad is not there to like calm him down or whatever. So they sent this message to Joseph. Before your father died, he instructed us to say to you, please forgive your brothers for the great wrong they did to you, for their sin in treating you so cruelly. So we, the servants of the God of your father, beg you to forgive our sins. When Joseph received the message, he broke down and wept. Then his brothers came and threw themselves down before Joseph. Look, we are your slaves, they said. But Joseph replied, don't be afraid of me. Am I God that I can punish you? You intended to harm me, but God intended it all for good. He brought me to this position so I could save the lives of many people. No, don't be afraid. I will continue to take care of you and your children. So he reassured them by speaking kindly to them. And as I'm reading it again, I'm like, a whole bunch of emotions are coming out. But what stood out to me is, you intended to harm me, but God intended it all for good. He brought me to this position so I could save the lives of many people. So when I first read this, I was like, oh wow, that's so good. All the hurts that I've experienced, God intended it all for good. And it's good, but it's also kind of messed up in my head because I'm like, dang, like I gotta go through all this these years of sorrows and pains and betrayal and hurts, and then for it to turn into good is like, ugh. And people love to say that saying of like, diamonds are made under pressure. You gotta da 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 da, like the I think TD Jake said something about along the lines of like, the further you shoot the arrow, the something something, the greater the journey, the greater something like that, along the lines of like, good things come out of pressure, good things come out of when you endure. And that's great, but I don't it's great when you get to the good. When you get to the season of good and you're like, oh, okay, like I understand, God, like, although I experienced all these things, like look what came out of that. But in the bad, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear you telling me like, oh yeah, like don't worry, like your ex cheated on you, God's gonna turn to the good, you'll get a great husband. Oh, your friend betrayed you, this and this happened, like you experienced so many abuse, like don't worry, God. It's like, when you're in the bad, it's like it's not great advice. But when you see the good, it's like, okay, cool. But the good thing about it is, in these seasons, it's good when people share their testimonies because you get to be like, okay, I understand why you went through all of that, and I can appreciate your good even more because you went through all of that. So when I read that, that came to mind. And then he brought me to this position so I could save the lives of many people. And that, for me, related to my nonprofit, about, and just the thoughts of like the vision that God gave me and the millions of people that I'm gonna serve and help. It's great. It's it feels good. Even though I'm not at the finish line of where Joseph is, of him being a king and him being a hero and him being all of that, I'm kind of in the sticky bad part, even though there's small wins along the way, just like Joseph. Like, he was a slave and then he became favored and then he became the second hand and then he was in prison again and then he became favored and then, like his story of like ups and downs, like God showed him favor. Like it's evident that, God was with him through all of it. And that just goes back to being salted. The salted journey is just evidence that like, although all these things happen, this glimpse of salt, this, you're being salted, and glimpse of God being there with you. Yeah, but what came to also my remembrance is like all the hurts that I hold on to, because if Joseph was to hold on to all his hurts, and I'm sure there was many, and he was kind of petty at the end when his brothers came to ask for food. he made them go through all this, that, through all of like these back and forths. And I think that was him holding on to the hurt. Because you kind of want to be petty, you kind of want to like, you know, play with them. But at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, it's like at the end of the day, like I am way better off. Like this hurt has no hold on me anymore. Cause look how much God has blessed me. And I think that's where Joseph got towards the end, cause his brothers got weary. And that's a thing about like when you hurt people, like one, you should ask God for forgiveness, but that feeling of them feeling like, oh, like dad is dead, he might come and like kill us, and that's just that feeling of like, oh, I did that person so wrong, like I'm not deserving, and none of us are. But a part of me did was like, like you should feel guilty because you did your brother so wrong, you should feel guilty. And just me thinking about that and thinking about my siblings too, like the hurts that they inflicted on me, I'm just like, you did them so wrong. But at the end of the day, it's like none of it matters because God is so good at the end of the day. And I think in this journey, for me to get to the point where Joseph is, not to compare his journey to mine, because nowhere near. I've never been enslaved, never been in jail, like for a more better journey, I would say. But for me to get to that point of like victory, of like, oh wow, like the point to the vision, like God gave Joseph a vision, and for him to get to that point of his vision where, his brothers ends up bowing down to him and all of that, him becoming king, he has to go through so much to get to that. And once I do get to that, to where the vision that God has given me for the nonprofit and where I will be, I will be able to look back on my journey, but like, okay, like none of the hurts will even matter, because it's like, whoa, like look what has God has done. He has done far more than I could ever imagine. Even with the vision, like it's still far more better. Like even with Joseph's dream, his like reality ends up being far more better than he could ever imagine. Just the little things that just made it even better. But yeah, I think along the journey in this season, especially learning to just let go of hurts. And not that it's going to, if I don't let go of the hurt, it's going to like, God is going to take away my blessings, or the vision will not come to life, or blah, blah, blah. Because, Joseph was still able to reach where he was supposed to, even though he was still hurt by it. Being hurt is an emotion that we can't escape, because, you were hurt by something. But I think it just makes the journey much more peaceful, much more freeing, where you're not bound by past hurts, you're not bound by past mistakes, you're not bound by things that have hurt you or caused you pain. It allows you to walk in freedom, just truly be free, and just be like, you know what, I'm okay. Even though it's a journey and I'm not there yet at all. But it's just little things of just doing the work within, because you're doing it for you. Like, you letting go of the hurts, it's not gonna, like, it really does nothing. It barely does anything for the other person. Although it's great that somebody forgives you, but like, let's say you did something to someone and they're like, okay, I forgive you. Is that great? They're no longer upset at you, but you still have to deal with your internal shame and internal hurt of like, oh wow, I hurt someone. Like that guilt. You still have to deal with that internal guilt. So whether like you're on either side, it's internal work regardless. So and it's for you at the end of the day, not for anyone else. Yeah. But so I think that is pretty much it. My head is itchy. I think that's pretty much it. And I think that's just where God wanted me to talk about today. Just letting go of hurts, being free from hurts, walking in freedom. And it's a journey, and it's internal work, and it's necessary. But that is all. I have to go do my laundry and clean my room. Yeah, so this was week 6, and next week I may not do an episode because I'm going away. Going to Montreal. I think I leave Friday morning, so I may not. But if God puts it in my heart to record an episode on Thursday or earlier that week, then I will. If not, then I will see you guys not next week, but the week after. But yeah, so I love you all, and I hope you got something out of this. This is a journey, but being free is the ultimate goal. Because once you're free, you live better, you feel better, and God could use you even more because you're not holding on to anything. Nothing is standing in the way of you making better relationships, standing in the way of you having opportunities, standing in the way of you making connections, because you will be surprised what your past hurts is holding you back from. And I had realized that this morning, like, wow, like certain things I have to deal with, because there are certain things I put myself in, or handled in the wrong way because I was holding on to my past hurts. I hope that makes sense. But it's a journey, and I know I'll be free, but it's a constant awareness and showing up and dealing with it and talking to God about it. But yeah, and I hope wherever you are in your journey, whether you're at your end goal of your vision or you're in it, your bad seasons, just know that it will get better. Just keep going, just keep showing up, and keep being honest. But yeah, that is all. My house is getting very loud. But yeah, I will see you guys, if not next week, the week after that. Have a blessed week. Have a good weekend ahead whenever you hear this, and I will see you guys next time. I love you. Be safe. Bye.